For my final project, I will be modifying Lesson 7 from the unit on space, called The Moons and the Stars. This lesson plan is intended for grades 5 to 6, and through this lesson, children will learn why the moon has different phases at different times during the month and the role of the sun in forming these phases. They will also understand the mechanics of the lunar and the solar eclipse and gain new perspective on how the stars in similar constellations are separated in space. Modifications were made so that learning materials will be more friendly towards ELLs. I feel that the unmodified lesson plan increased the difficulty of the material as it incorporated activities that required students to follow complicated written instructions that are just not very clear. The modified lesson plan proposed to improve the learning experience of all the students by focusing on a more direct and observational method of learning. Throughout different activities, students are also encouraged to do more group discussions. ELLs will also be well mixed into groups or placed with a partner that are mainstream students so that all students can benefit from teamwork and that the ELLs can benefit from peer scaffolding. In this lesson, students will first be taught relative vocabulary that will be written on the whiteboard before being involved in classroom discussion. Before doing any of the activities, we will have a class discussion on the following. First, I will introduce the topic of the moon and the stars and how they are relevant to everyday life. I will describe the celestial sphere as it relates to our perception of the moon and the stars. We will also discover how the angle of the sunlight reflects off of the moon's surface, causing the moon to appear differently as it orbits Earth throughout the month. Teacher will also familiarize students with the cosmic scale and why stars appear to be equal distance to us. We will also go over the constellation map in the sky. The first activity I have planned is on moon phase. For this activity, students will need one black foam board with a circle cut out in the middle. Teacher should be helping students with this part. They will also need 8 styrofoam or ping pong balls, 1 glue gun, 1 large styrofoam ball to represent the sun, and 2 Sharpies. For this activity, divide classroom into small groups, preferably 3 to 4 students per group, and ensure that ELLs will be well mixed into groups with strong mainstream students. In their groups, they will create a moon model. Verbally give instructions as they're being written on the whiteboard. Please look at the attached document for further and more clear instructions. When they have completed the model, encourage students to take turn wearing the model. It should be explained that 1 full rotation of the constructed model around them is equal to a month. The appearance of each of the 8 phases of the moon should then be related to the lunar cycle. For example, it takes approximately 14 days to reach the full moon phase and 14 more days to go back to the new moon phase. Teacher will demonstrate how eclipses occur using one of the constructed models as an example. At the end of this activity, students will be given worksheets when all the groups have finished constructing their models. They are encouraged to use the models to help them answer their worksheet. All students are given individual worksheets that are to be completed with their group members. Teamwork is encouraged in order to complete the worksheet. Worksheets are only collected when all group members within the group are finished. The first portion of the worksheet requires students to label the phases of the moon. Students will be graded on the accuracy and spelling for the labeling section. The next part of the worksheet involves explaining what each phase of the moon looks like and the definition of each phases. Students will be graded on accuracy of their description and whether or not their definition accurately describes the phases. The last section of the worksheet contains a few short answer questions about the activities. Students will be graded on the quality of their answers. The second activity for this lesson plan is a constellation activity. For this activity, students will need a copy of the book Find the Constellations. They will need a sheet of tinfoil, a black Sharpie, and 2 pencils. It is preferred to do this in a large classroom with large windows. We will also need some tape at the end of this activity. For this activity, teachers will assign students into pairs. ELLs must be paired with a mainstream student with stronger English abilities. The pairs will be instructed to look through the book and find the constellation they like. They then write the name of the constellation on the whiteboard. Constellations written on the whiteboard cannot be reused, so that each group must choose a different one. After a constellation is selected, the group should learn about the selected constellation from the book. Find the constellations. After learning about the constellation they have selected, they are now to create their own constellation. Please look at the attached document for further and clearer instructions. When all the pairs are complete, teacher will then tape the constellations to the window along with the paragraphs the student has previously written. Students will then see sunlight through the holes that represents the stars. Since all the information the student received came from the book Find the Constellations, this means that they are indirectly being tested on their reading comprehension. Pairs will also take turns coming to the front of the classroom to present their constellation. One student will introduce the constellation and discuss the origin of the constellation's name and what it's supposed to look like. The other student will represent a few interesting facts about the constellation. Students are being assessed for their ability to verbally communicate what they have learned. The collaborative paragraph written by each pair is then assessed for the accuracy and quality of the information given. More importantly, students are being tested for their ability to come together to write a well-constructed paragraph that makes sense and flows. For more detailed information regarding the lesson plan, please refer to the written submission. Thank you for your time.